This year, at the 2013 Leaders Luncheon State of the City Address, I had the opportunity to reflect on Fremantle and where we'd gone over the last 4 years. In many ways, actually start to score ourselves as a city on our performance. At the heart of this address is actually looking at those key parts of the strategic plan that we, as a promise to the city, to the residents and to the businesses, that we made around how we'd actually make Fremantle work as an urban centre. At the heart of it was a couple of scheme amendments. The very first of those was scheme amendment number 38, which was the east end from the Fremantle Traffic Bridge back down to Princess May Park and to Clancy's, where we took what was 3-storey development height restrictions, raised those up from 5, 7, 9 stories depending on the site, so we could actually get an extra 2,000 to 3,000 people living in what is predominantly a really underutilised part of Fremantle right now. So that scheme amendment number 38 was passed by the council in 2010, and that was gazetted shortly after. The second really big scheme amendment we did was Amendment 49, the much more controversial city centre scheme amendments, where we took the areas outside of the Heritage West End, the tired 60s and 70s areas like the Target site and the Myer site and the Westgate Mall, and raised the heights in those areas so we could get much more development happening and investment in that area. Key to that was getting 1,500 additional dwellings so we could actually quadruple the amount of people that are living in inner Fremantle. At the moment there's only about 800 odd. We wanted to get that up to around about 3,500 people living right in the heart of Fremantle, supporting 7-day-a-week retail and creating a vibrant urban centre. The other key element of this was actually about bringing more jobs back into Fremantle. There is there is no A-grade office space in Fremantle, and it's actually about getting that high-quality office space and with it high-quality jobs back into the heart of Fremantle. 70,000 square metres. And on top of that, 20,000 square metres of retail floor space. And then in addition to that, we've got the Victoria Quay area controlled by Fremantle Ports, which as well would also bring in more retail activity and further jobs. All of these are at the heart of actually changing how the centre of Fremantle worked. Scheme Amendment number 49 was finally gazetted by the state government in early 2013. The good news, and there is lots of good news, is that whilst turning around Fremantle has taken longer than many of us would have liked, and many of us probably would have even thought, we are now starting to see that investment flow back into Fremantle that makes that renewal possible. In the east end of the city, up along Queen Victoria Street and Quarry Street, we're already starting to see quite a few new developments start and then breaking ground, where the transformation of that into town is about to take place. Already the office vacancy rate in Fremantle has come down, and there's an unprecedented investment in Fremantle. In fact, looking at what's happening in Fremantle now, there's almost $1 billion worth of new investment in property in Fremantle, in the centre of Fremantle, happening, which we expect to flow through over the next few years. Of that, over $36 million in construction's already started. There's $106 million in developments approved, $257 million of plans submitted, concept plans around about $470 million on top of that. All in that pipeline where we can actually see the projects together have the ability to absolutely transform Fremantle and revitalise it. I just want to give you a couple of examples of some of those key projects. And there are a real great smattering around Fremantle that give you a sense of, they're not in one particular part, but they are predominantly where we've changed those planning controls. The King Square development, probably the most important development this decade in Fremantle. In fact, the biggest development in Fremantle in many, many decades. It is a $220 million public-private partnership between the City of Fremantle and Serona Capital, in which the King Square area, including the council offices, the Myer building, the Queensgate Cinema and the Queensgate car park, as well as the Spicer site, will be developed in an integrated joint development that will actually transform the heart of Fremantle. Instead of being that place that's kind of seen as tired old buildings, actually really give that foundation and that heart that Fremantle so deserves and so needs if it is to continue to be a vibrant urban centre. So coming back to our strategic plan, where it's about thinking about how have we done and how have we performed. We had 1,500 dwellings that we promised for the CBD. Approved and pending, we're well on the way, 862 already. 70,000 square metres of floor space we wanted to deliver. We're pushing close to about 30,000 square metres of that now in the developments that are planned. 20,000 square metres of retail floor space was promised, and we're about halfway there with that 11,600 in addition to that. So as you can see, those promises that we put into our strategic plans are ones that we are delivering on. To be frank, I wish it was happening a bit more quickly. It's been one of those challenges around getting development happening, going through the scheme amendment process, but we actually, it is happening. And I guess what's really exciting to see is all of these great projects, which I've only given you a small sample of, that are in the pipeline and will be flowing through in terms of investment into Fremantle over the coming years. I think all of those together really do have the ability to absolutely transform Fremantle. And just to mention a couple of other little things, the King Square International Architectural Competition will play a really important role of getting high quality, internationally designed architecture on this site, which we vitally need as well. So that's really exciting. That competition has just kicked off in the last weeks and will actually be finalised by the end of 2013. And also those key things around actually rethinking and rebranding the kind of Fremantle we want it to be as a unique, bespoke, distinctive place that celebrates its own unique culture. And we're really working on that now in terms of how we're rebranding ourselves with things like the Laneway Festival relocating to Fremantle, and also the very exciting but temporary Maya project, where we've actually got Space Market in there, using that to be the largest pop-up store in Australia's history to actually get all the young creative entrepreneurs and professionals down into Fremantle and actually bringing that life and vibrancy that we all want to see back. So it really is an exciting time. There's no doubt that the transformation and revitalisation of Freo is just beginning, is underway, and I think the years ahead are going to be extremely exciting. Thank you.